is Obed Asare, and I have the privilege of sharing with you the topic time management. Imagine every morning you wake up and someone deposits 1,440 euros in your bank account. You have 24 hours to spend on. The hook is you cannot earn more, you cannot transfer it. Will you waste it? Now replace money with time. Every morning we wake up to 1,440 minutes. All of us, the rich, the poor, the young, the old. But it appears that we still struggle with time. So let me introduce myself. I'm a Christian, I'm a husband, and a father of 3 energetic boys who wants to do everything in the world. They want to be part of the music club, they want to be footballers, they want to learn rugby, they want to learn swimming. And over the past 20 years, I am an HR professional helping people manage their lives and then also better their lives. I work in a multinational company. I currently support over 50 plus leaders across the globe and total benefits. So my time is in constant demand every day. I'm running, ensuring that I make time for my family and then also make time for work. But in spite of my experience, I must admit that I still struggle with time. And one thing that I have learned is that time cannot be managed. You can only manage yourself within time. And I'm going to go on a journey with you where I would also try to share my personal struggle. There was a time that I came home after a busy day, and my son, the youngest one, was rushing to me, trying to show me something. And I could barely take my eye off my phone because I was engaged in other things which I was transporting from work. I said, give me a minute. The minute turned into hours. And before I realized he had gone to sleep, I had lost that moment that I could have had time with him. So that was really a wake-up call for me at the time. And how am I going to structure my life and then make sure that I meet both ends? Time management isn't a modern concept. It has shaped human history from medieval times where people track time using the sun and stars. And during the time was not about work. Time was about survival, it was about seasons, it was about harvest. Then in the Industrial Revolution, the 9 to 5 schedule was created. Then suddenly time became money. We had thinkers like Frederick Taylor and Peter Drucker who came up with the time management concept, where they tried to ensure that people were efficient and then they were also effective in whatever they do. The Romans developed the Julian calendar, which more or less structured time and gave birth to most of these time management theories that we have today. But before that, the Bible had already spoken about time. In Psalm 90, verse 12, it says that teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom. Genesis, God worked for 6 days and rested on the seventh day. So even God structured time with work, with relationship. We also learn in also Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 says that to everything there's a season and there's a time. So why do we struggle with time if God structured time for us? There are a lot of things that steals our time. We have distractions. The average person looks at their time and other notifications and other things about 100 times a day, checking emails, social media notifications. So all these distractions really play a big role in stealing our time. And social media, I would say, is a two-edged sword because some people use social media for their business. So to them, that is actually their work environment. But there are others that scroll and endless scrolls, watching reels and one after the other. And then before you realize, that's already 1 hour gone. So averagely, you would spend about 1 month, if you take the whole year into consideration, on social media, scrolling and watching people's reels, which are not really real life. There's also lack of planning, which is false urgency. If you don't schedule your time, everything else becomes urgent. There are people who also disrupt and things that disrupt our time endlessly. People just distract us either through maybe messages and invitations that are really not planned in your calendar, and that makes it also difficult and steals your time. And the last one will be lack of focus. If you don't really plan your day and identify the most important aspect of it in a day, then it becomes difficult to follow through. I've also come to realize that all of us manage two people in our lives. Those who need our time and those who want our time. Those who need our time are really our family members, our friends, our support system, our work, our main preoccupation, the thing that really gives us food and pays our bills, and also our health and our well-being. Those are the things that we need to manage as needing our time. And then we have those that want our time. Even at work, you can have the unnecessary meetings, you can have a number of things distracting you. But how do we manage all of these? We need to ensure that we block time for each of these people. Because at the end of the day, with all that we will do, if you fail at home, you have not achieved anything. You can achieve all the success you want in the world, but you need to ensure that you spend time with your family. How do we restore time and strategies for redeeming time? And these are some of the strategies that I have found personally. First, I have what we call the daily formula. You schedule what is the most important thing that I need to achieve today. What is the one thing that will make a difference if I don't do anything today? And then the second one is working smarter, not harder, especially for those of us in the corporate world. And even if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a retiree, whatever you are, whichever stage of your life you're in, either a job seeker, you need to make sure that you work smarter and so that you avoid burnout. And here, I recommend the Ensover metrics. So in this metrics, there's the urgent and important. So on the x-axis, you have what we call the urgent, and then on the y, we have the very important. So if in that quadrant, you have something that is urgent and important, then you do it now. If something is urgent but not that important, you can schedule it later. And if something is not urgent and important, you can delegate. And delegation, at home, you can start teaching the kids gradually, getting house chores. If you are a team leader, as Kendall mentioned, then delegation becomes very necessary. You need to have somebody within your team who can be your anchor when you are really hard pressed. And if a task is not that important and is not that urgent, then eliminate it. You don't do it, don't touch it. Yes. So then that takes me to my next point around making it work together. So, work-life integration. Some people view work and life as two separate things. If you view it that way, then it means that they have equal value. They are constant. You hold it as constant. But life, family, career, and all of that can be integrated. And how do you do that? You just need to schedule it, block time, and ensure that it is in your calendar and you're focusing on it, ensuring that this is something that I must do. So what I have done recently is that I try to block and make sure I have my both personal and professional activities in my calendar. So I have the full week overview, I have the full day overview. So there are times that I block to go and pick my kids at school. There are times that if there are school activities that I need to be packed, I can block 1.5 hours, just go for the school activity, ensuring that I come back to continue my work. I support leaders in different locations. Some of them are in India, 5.5 hours ahead. I have leaders in New York who are 5 hours behind. So I try to block to see how I can accommodate. And then also in eliminating and trying to ensure that you balance it. One thing that I have realized is that time is elastic. It contrasts and expands to meet the priorities of the day. If you wake up in the morning and your kid is sick, I don't think any other thing will be important. You will make time for it to ensure that you take that kid to the hospital. So try to integrate and make sure that everything works together. So I just want to share with you time as a legal right as we see it in the EU. All of us live in Portugal, part of the EU. And in the EU, there's a law that mandates every workplace to record the time that individuals come in and also the time you start work. So the directive mandates a period of 11 consecutive hours of rest for everybody between each working day. So 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, and even with overtime, it mandates that you have to work 48 hours within a week. And averagely, in Portugal, you're supposed to have 22 working days as leave, paid leave. And you schedule 10 days consecutive to go on leave. But one thing that I've also realized is that
regardless of the law, if you don't intentionally schedule it, the law doesn't protect you. If you go against it, it's there. That's the framework. That's the basics for you to be able to do it. And it's important that we as individuals would schedule time where we can also have rest. The power of rest. Rest is not laziness. It's actually the time where you can unwind and recharge your batteries. And God in Genesis rested on the seventh day. So even if God rested, then who are we? So that's the power of rest. Every week, you need to time block, take time for your well-being, take time to be with your family, and also take time for yourself, either for your own reflections or taking time to either have a dialogue with God. That's something that I do. I time block just to make sure you have to be intentional about it. And the last thing that I will leave with you is to challenge you to take one step better at managing yourself within time. We know time cannot be managed. It's you managing yourself within time. Be encouraged. We are all Christians. Be encouraged to seek God's intervention in whatever you do. And then also remember that you are also protected by the law. So the time tracking and the worker directive also supports everything that you do. But if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a business leader, that one thing that I also encourage is that just be intentional about managing time. For your team members, it's not everything that has to be a meeting. Some can just be an email, others can sit in and be mindful that we all need time to rest. Thank you.